Hey guys, I'm Becky and welcome to another reading vlog. It is the Saturday before Thanksgiving, and I have decided to do kind of like a special reading vlog, if you will. We're only going to be reading one book in this reading vlog. And I decided to do this reading vlog before I decided on doing a series next year, but I decided to go ahead and just stick with doing this vlog anyways. So as you may or may not know, I have two bookshelves of unread books. I have a video called All My Unread Books, where I show you all the books on there. You can give me feedback on what books you think I should prioritize, or if I should stay away from any that you're like, no, that book sucks. But I have pretty much made it my goal for years now, since before I started this channel, to try to finally get through all of these unread books. And I have been trying to read like 2 books a month from those shelves. It hasn't been working out too well, to be perfectly honest. So I decided this month that I was going to look up what the oldest book on my shelf is and do a dedicated reading vlog to that book, where you have like all my kind of like spoilery thoughts. Now I made this plan, and then I decided, you know what, I should do those too. And I'm going to do it starting in 2025. And that is the different kinds of read it or get rid of it style vlogs. So I first heard of them from Becca and the Books. She does Shelve It or Scrap It. Then Olivia Reads a Latte started doing them. She calls them Read It or Unhaul It, I believe. And now I have decided, I'm sure there's other people who do them, but those are the 2 that I watch that I know do them, and kind of where I got the idea from. So I have also decided to go ahead and start doing them. So in 2025, I'm going to officially start doing once a month, Read It or Reap It. Now, I thought maybe I should put this vlog on hold and do it then, but it's also kind of like, I need to be reading these books. I need to not procrastinate and read them next year. I need to just read them like I planned. So we are still going to stick with this vlog anyways, and my husband did come up with a cute idea for the title of this vlog, which is Tale as Old as Time, because it is the oldest book on my shelf. So I do have a Goodreads list of all the books that I physically own, and at first I put it in order of when I added them to that Goodreads list, and it didn't fully make sense, because I was like, I feel like some of these books are kind of newer, some of them have been pubbed newer, so that kind of like backfired. So then I put it in publishing order, and that is where we have today's book, and probably it is the oldest book on my shelf. So there are technically 2 other books that were pubbed for this one, but I do have plans for those 2. They're part of series, and I would need to reread the books in that series that I've already read to get to those books, but I have plans to hopefully in 2025 also reread and finish some of my favorite series to see if they have held up over time. And then that brings us to today's book, which is going to be Hex Hall by Rachel Hawkins. So here is its beautiful cover. When did I get this book? I don't know. Probably pretty soon after it released, to be honest. But according to the back, it was in fact purchased at Borders for $17, which I'm like, that's not too bad in Borders times for the price of this book, to be totally honest. So what do I remember about this book? Absolutely nothing. I definitely kind of remember buying it. I feel like my dad may have bought it for me during one of our like Christmas time, I'll take you to Borders to buy books hauls. It was probably most definitely after I read, well actually it was definitely after I read Twilight and stuff like that, because that was when I got into paranormal romance. So yeah, it has been a very, very long time. I was definitely a teenager when I bought this. So it should be interesting to see if I enjoy this and does it hold up now, because it was published in 2010, which would be the year that I graduated high school. So very, very interesting. 2010 was also like the height of Book Bite Reviews as a blog, or actually, I think I started that in 2011, so it was like the height of me super getting into reading and about to start my blog. I think at the time I was publishing on LiveJournal, and when they had like MySpace forums that you could post on your profile. So yeah, I'm pretty excited. I figured that we would just spend like today and tomorrow reading this book. Hopefully that's as long as it takes, but I do technically have until I'm going to say Wednesday. For sure by Wednesday I want to be done with this book. So I think I am going to go downstairs. I should be having dinner soon. And then I do have the ebook and the audiobook borrowed from my library on Libby, so that way I can kind of figure out how exactly I want to consume this. But I will update you guys once I start it. I will give you guys... I'm sorry, Ebony is right here and she looks so silly. I will show you her. I will give you an update on Ebony. If you watched my last reading vlog, Ebony is having some health issues. She has bladder stones. And I can't remember if I already knew the plan when I ended the last vlog, but she is having surgery the day after Thanksgiving, that Friday, to get them removed. She is currently done with her pain meds because she also has a UTI on top of it. She's done with her pain meds. She is still on her antibiotics, and today is like the first full day that she's doing really, really well. She's kind of like acting like herself. She is like a bit sleepier than normal. Probably, I'm guessing because she hasn't been able to like fully sleep throughout the night without having to get up and go to the bathroom. So she has been pretty sleepy, but she is not having as many accidents. She seems to be like herself. She slept in bed all day today, and yeah, it's starting to kind of like look up. So she should be totally good after her surgery once she fully heals, but there is a light at the end of this very scary tunnel. So let me show you her. She is this little black mass right here, but I will take you closer because she's doing her silly little upside down vampire thing. So here she is in all her silliness. She loves sleeping in my chair, so I'm going to leave my office open for her tonight. I normally keep my office closed because I don't trust Pepe. I did have plants in here, and I just don't want him knocking down all of my valuables, but I no longer have plants. I'm done being a plant mom. So those are done and gone. It's mostly just now having him not knock down things that could break, but I think he's usually pretty good if like we're home or awake and the office is left open, so I'm gonna leave it open for her for tonight for a while, so that way she can sleep in her favorite chair. She always steals it from me. But okay, I am gonna go downstairs, figure out how I kind of want to read this, and then I will check in with you later.
X Hall by Rachel Hawkins. Narrated by Chris Ducart. Copyright 2010 by Rachel Hawkins.
Hey guys, so it is Saturday night. It is like 4:30 a.m. But I wanted to update you because I did start Hex Hall. So I did put it in this really cool book sleeve that I have. It says Crescent City University alumni, and then it says Through Love All Is Possible CCU. I cannot remember where I got this from. Pretty sure an Etsy shop. I will try to link it down below. Not sure if it's still being sold, but if anything, I will link the shop. So yeah, I'm so excited that I found a book that fits this, because I have this one and one other one that I bought at a local used bookstore, Another Look Books, and they really only fit small hardcovers like this. So finally I found a book that will fit it, and then it does, both of them have this cool little elastic bookmark that you can use. Hex Hall. I have started it. Let's talk about what this book is about. So we are following our main character, Sophie, who is a witch. Her parents are not together. Her mom is a human, her dad is a warlock, and her dad didn't tell her mom what he was until like a year into their relationship, and her mom thought that he was nuts, ran away from him, then found out that she was pregnant, had Sophie, and then didn't talk to him or let him into Sophie's life until she was 12, and that's when you come into your powers. So she's never let Sophie meet him, but they, I think, email and occasionally talk on the phone, I think. But otherwise, he's not really in her life, so she doesn't really know anything about being a witch. Her mom has tried to become like a master of all knowledge when it comes to like paranormals. And I forget the word they're called, but there's like a word for paranormals. And so she's like doing her best with Sophie, but they keep having to move. I think Sophie said that they lived in like 19 states, and she's currently 16, I believe. And it's because Sophie keeps doing things for people to know of her powers, and the humans can't. So she has done like a bunch of like little things, and most recently she was at prom. There's a girl who's like always kind of upset and an outcast. And so Sophie tries to help her by doing a love spell because she's upset that nobody asked her to prom. So she does a love spell for her, and it like severely backfires and is a little bit too intense of a love spell. And so this girl's like, oh my god, she's a witch, and like kind of like freaks out. And her dad decides to send her to this reform school. Or her dad tells her that the Council of Witches has decided to send her to this reform school. And the school is where kind of like the bad paranormals are sent. Ones who either can't get control of their powers or who are making themselves too obvious to humans. So there are witches, fairies, shifters, werewolves, and vampires. But there's only one vampire teacher and one vampire student. They only take one student every year, probably because of how dangerous they are. And you either stay there, or no, do you stay there? I don't know if you can get out early, but I know for sure that you're there until you're 18. So Sophie's gonna have 2 years there. The only vampire is her roommate, and Sophie, like, all of this is brand new to Sophie. Like, she didn't know that all these things existed. She doesn't know, like, the ins and outs. She doesn't know what's real versus what's myth. She really doesn't know anything, even about her own kind. And so I am currently 33, I think, % of the way through. I'm on chapter 12, so I've read this much. I got this much left to go. And so far it is pretty good. It is a bit, like, juvenile, but at the same time it doesn't feel ridiculous. Like, it all kind of makes sense of like her not knowing anything. There is like this mean girl situation with the other witches, and she does have a crush on a warlock, and then she's got this vampire roommate. But on top of her like coming to terms with like what she is, what these other paranormals are, and things like that, there's also a murder mystery happening as well. So the girl who was the vampire's roommate before was also a witch. Her name was Holly, I believe. She was murdered, and it was basically made to look like it was the vampire, but like officials have ruled that there's no way that it could have been her, but the students don't believe it, or at least the mean witches don't believe it. So far Sophie's like sticking up for the vampire even though she doesn't truly know her, but she's like, there's no way that this like super nice girl whose entire room is pink killed somebody. And we have now found out that, I need to find out, what is the vampire's name? I can't keep calling her the vampire. Jenna. We found out that Jenna and Holly were best friends. We found out that Jenna likes girls. Jenna was dating Archer, who is the warlock that Sophie now has a crush on. And she was also friends with these like mean girl witches. So far it's pretty interesting because you're trying to figure out like, how did Holly die? Also, like, you're in this brand new world with Sophie. Like, it feels very like you're learning everything as Sophie is, which is pretty interesting. And then on top of that, there also is organizations of humans who are trying to rid the world of the paranormals. So like the witch hunts and things like that, like all of that is still true to this day. But then also like they're actively trying to seek these people out. So we just found out about these organizations, but also that they've pretty much working independently, but now they are kind of like forming this like big super group and working together to try to kill the paranormal. So now like their threat against the society is even worse, because at first it was kind of like these ones just kind of hunt down vampires and these ones hunt down werewolves, but now they're going to band together. So it seems like there's going to be a lot at play. Sophie has also just found out that on top of her just being completely ignorant, so she's already kind of like an enemy of a lot of people because she doesn't know anything or know any better. She has also found out that her dad isn't just some warlock. He is the head of the Council of Witches. So he is the one who has sent all of these students to this reform school. He is the one who has like the teachers as well. They're not there because they want to be helping these kids. They're there because they were banished there as well for, I think, life, if I'm not mistaken. So all the teachers have been sent there and punished by him. The one witch teacher that we just encountered, she had all of her powers stripped of her by her father. So it's like Sophie can't catch a break. So it's definitely very interesting. It is still like kind of juvenile. I mean, it does like very much read like a 2010 YA so far, but what I do find interesting is that we do have a queer character, which I feel like is very, not out of the ordinary, but it just wasn't done very often, I feel like, at least in the things that I read. So that is interesting. And we didn't have any kind of like weirdness about like, oh, now I'm kind of uncomfortable around her or anything. So we'll see where the story progresses, because we are very much still in like the beginning parts of the story. So it's like a lot could go wrong very, very quickly. But so far it's interesting. I'm having a good time. It is like a little silly, especially when it comes to like the crush that she has on Archer, because he's like a bad boy and they are kind of like bickering, and it's just like, okay, yeah, you guys are gonna fall in love. But it's like he is in with the popular girls and Sophie doesn't want to like him, and she's like, you know, give me a good reason to not have a crush on him. And Jenna's just like, listen, I don't even like guys and he's insanely hot. So it's like, it's pretty silly so far, but also interesting, and there is some very serious things at play that Sophie has had no idea about. Ignore these bangs. They're going to just be doing what they're doing. Okay, hello. It is Sunday night, Monday morning. It's like 5 a.m. I fell asleep really early and then woke up from like a nap, even though I fell asleep at like 11, and decided, Pepe. Okay, sorry, where was I? Pepe had to get in here, of course. Oh, I decided to go ahead and do some more reading until I wanted to fall back asleep. So I definitely need to fall back asleep now. But I have been reading. I surprisingly / unsurprisingly, because this is like a quick, easy book and not that long, I only have that little tiny sliver left. I think it's like 20 some pages, 30 some pages. I'm on chapter 30, and we just found out who the bad guy is, and I say that in a sense of like, I'm not sure if I believe it. I definitely had my suspicions about this person and definitely thought it could be that person, but it's also like there's a lot of people it could be. And this book, while this book is like so strange because there's like serious stuff going on. There's like literal groups of people who in like our world is like the equivalent of the KKK, but for paranormals, who are actually like trying to kill these people. And then there's students who are like getting mysteriously injured. Like one student has died, 2 others have been catastrophically injured where they almost would have died if they weren't found in time. At the same time, like our main character is like more concerned with like the crush she has on a boy, making the right dress for the ball, you know, like there's like serious things happening, but like you aren't really getting suspects because she's not actively investigating what's going on. She's just like, that's weird, but it's not my roommate. So like in any other book or scenario, this would be like a very serious, dark book where it's like, get an adult, find help. And it hasn't really been very serious. At the same time, like she is trying to get adults help, but they're just like, what are you talking about? So I'm like surprisingly having a good time just because it's like I've never read such a serious book that's not taking it seriously in the slightest. It's very strange. So I'm at the part now where we've like found out who the bad guy is. But again, I'm not positive because now thinking back, like the student who most recently has fallen prey to this person, we like had them in our sights when that happened. So how could it be that person? Weird. Suspicious. So I'm very interested to see what's going to happen in these last 30 pages and how this book is going to end. I think this is part of a trilogy, I want to say. I'm not positive. But the ending will definitely determine if I'm going to continue on. Right now I'm kind of feeling like these are easy, silly kind of books, so I could definitely see myself going on. But if it ends very stupid, maybe I won't. I'm not sure. But Sophie is about to meet her father for the first time. He is coming as the head of the witch council. Actually, I don't even think it's the witch council. I think it's just the council. I think they're the council of all paranormals. Because if he's able to sentence all these other students to the school, I think it's just like the council. But since he's the head of the council, he is on his way to the school since all of this is kind of like happening under his nose. And it should be pretty interesting. Because on one hand, like, we have found out that... Oh, I guess this is a spoiler vlog, so I guess I could tell you everything. So I guess let's get into the spoilers of it. So we just found out that... God, what even is his name? Archer. We just found out that Archer is supposedly the bad guy. Like, him and Sophie are kissing in the crypt. And when she touches his chest, his tattoo reveals itself because she has a protection charm. And he freaks out, he bolts, and now no one can find him. But she definitely had him in her sights when the last attack happened. So I'm not really positive. I'm really not sure what's going on. And then we also have this groundsman who is like only slightly older than her. And he's very much giving off like bodyguard feels. Because he did like kind of let it slip that he stayed there to protect her. And then he kind of like amended it. It was like, I mean, you all, the students. It was very weird. It was very non-subtle. So what's going on there? And then the ghost of her great-grandmother, she died when she was 18. How was she her great-grandmother? She was like at this reform school but already had a kid. Problematic. I say that when my mom was 19 when she had me. So take that joke with a grain of salt. But I'm just saying, like, that is strange, especially for a teen book. That's like, did they think about that? I don't know. Anyways, her great-grandmother's ghost has been like training her and helping her because she died on school grounds by, I don't know if it was the Eye. Is it the Eye? Is that one of the group? I know it's one of the groups, but is that the group that killed her grandma? I don't know, but that is the group that Archer's part of, supposedly. But she died on school grounds because they somehow got through the superimposable wards. And even she brought up back then of like, I think that they can get us here. And they're like, no, you're being ridiculous. And then they killed her. So, but she made a comment that like they came after her because of how powerful she is. And it's something that's passed down generation. So now have been going after her son, which is her father, or that's her grandson, which means that they're coming after her. So it makes sense because Sophie's like, how come he's never tried to meet me then? Because like she calls her mom because she's like, I guess I'm about to meet dad for the first time. She's like, oh, you're really gonna like him, he's so charming, yada yada. And she's like, okay, how come he hasn't wanted me before? But like that makes total sense because if there's people after him, then they're going to be going after his entire bloodline. So it'd be best if he had zero contact with Sophie so they never knew about her until she's an idiot, which honestly is no fault of her. If she has no true witch training, how could she be a good witch and hide it from humans? But yeah, until she messes up one too many times and now has to go to the school. What I think is interesting is like supposedly he has no contact with her, I'm assuming, because of the threat against her life. But then somehow everyone knows that that's her dad. So it's like, was she ever safe then? So why hasn't he tried to... I don't know. All I know is even though Jenna, her roommate, seems extremely guilty and like it's very obvious why everyone's like, it's her, other than like the fact that they're just like speciest against vampires and elitist against vampires. Other than those things, like there is some pretty good evidence against her that she is the bad guy. But I don't think she is, even though she's also acting weird. I don't know. These next 30 pages are going to be very, very interesting if we even find anything out. Because I'm just like, none of this really makes sense and I also don't think it's them. Or is it like, is it them, but then they never expected to like Sophie? I mean, like, without a doubt, Archer's definitely part of this I group. And then there was that time she like asked him about his family and what they think of her father. And he kind of like freaked out a little bit and she was like, that was a weird reaction, but it must be because like his whole family is probably in this group. And it's not like unheard of that they're like, in the past there's been other paranormals who have converted to like the dark side and is helping them. I think just because there's probably like a lot of turmoil amongst the species, like there really is a huge lack of respect for each other, as like most books do, and it kind of goes unchecked. So it kind of makes sense that they would like join groups. Like, it would make sense that, like, vampires would join the anti-fae group. But yeah, and I'm wondering also if, like, the species as a whole doesn't really agree with, like, the council, her father, etc. Like, it makes sense the school is against him because he sent them all here. And I don't know, on one hand, it seems like a really great place to be, but also you can't leave until you turn 18. I mean, Archer did leave, Like, he applied for a period of absence when his girlfriend was murdered. So it's not like it's completely strict or heartless. Free place to live, food, training. Seems ideal, if you ask me. Tomorrow I will finish these last 30 pages. I will find out what's going to happen and give you my final thoughts. But overall, like, it's been, like, silly, goofy, and immature, but not bad. And surprisingly, there hasn't been anything that I can see that's problematic other than, like, you're basically having, like, racism going on in the form of speciesism, because, like, these people aren't getting along, and they're just like, oh yeah, it's definitely the vampires are less than us, yada yada. Like the Fae calling shifters, you know, beneath them and stuff like that. Like, if you took out the paranormals, this would just be obvious racism, and Sophie, as well as no one else, is kind of like really saying anything about that. Like, Sophie has stuck up for Jenna in terms of, like, she's not the person doing this, but, like, there's even when the second student is attacked, or I guess the first student is attacked after Sophie started going there, like, a bunch of the students kind of, like, gang up on Jenna, and Sophie just kind of stands there. Like, I know that you guys just met, but, like, have some loyalty. And also just be like, hey, let's not attack each other when we don't know anything. I don't know. I guess that is, like, my only criticism so far is, like, Sophie has a backbone, but at the same time is, like, so desperate to fit in that she isn't calling people out on stuff. And it's, like, just because she doesn't understand. But at the same time, it's, like, there's nothing to understand. Like, it's wrong no matter what. Like, let's just all get along. We're all in this together. But what do I know? I'm just a dumb human who wants everyone to get along. But alright, I'm going to get to bed. I will update you once I finally finish this. Maybe I can try to, like, finish this in real time with you, so I can give you, like, my minute by minute thoughts as we kind of unravel the end of this book. Alright, see you tomorrow. Hey guys, it is Tuesday, and I'm sitting on my couch before I get ready to run to Aldi and then go to work. And we are going to finish Hex Hall together. So I haven't done any reading since I updated you on Sunday, but I am ready to go ahead and sit with you and finish these last couple chapters, give you my reactions, give you my thoughts, am I going to continue on, etc., etc. I will say I apologize for any audio issues in this. So there is a fish tank behind you, which is a little low in water, so the filter is humming pretty loud. The next door neighbor's dog is barking. This neighbor's music's playing. Pepe is in his window seat, which is creaking like crazy if you just heard that. So apologies for any wild audio that's happening, but it is what it is. So let's go ahead and jump into the book, and I will give you my thoughts. Okay, so chapter 30 has literally just started and I already have thoughts. So she's talking about how instead of people being like panicked or freaked out that this society got through the wards and stuff like that, everyone is relieved because now they know like who it was and he's gone, so now everything can go back to normal. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? If they've already gotten through the wards once, that means they can do it again. He might not be the only one who is hidden in plain sight, and he's disappeared. Nobody knows where he is. So if anything, it's scarier now, because it's one thing to know where your enemy is and to be able to see them. It's another thing to not even know where they are when they're coming back, when they're attacking. Like, that is mental warfare. What are you talking about? You feel safe. What do you mean it's okay that the shifters go outside at night now? What? It's more dangerous now than it was. Okay, so I am now on chapter 31, and we just found out that Alice either is a witch, but is because a demon made her, like she made a deal with a demon to be a witch, or she's a demon, which means that so is our main character. What? Sophie? That's her name? Which means so was Sophie. And that's nuts. That does explain, though, of why, like, Alice was so powerful, why they wanted to get rid of her, why she has power as a ghost, and she's the one that's probably been doing the killings. They're probably trying to, like, create another demon or resurrect her, maybe, but Elodie is hanging out with her. We kind of like Elodie. I hate that. I hate when we kill the bully with kindness. I just want to hate them. Elodie and her friends are the ones who summoned Alice. I wonder if they summoned her. Like, it sounds like Elodie and them were, like, trying to save the school by summoning this demon because then she can help protect them against the enemy. But they must have summoned Alice once they forged Sophie into their coven. Because she said, we need 4. But then, like, why would Alice attack 2 of the people in the coven? They're the ones that brought you here. Maybe it's like somebody had to go. Interesting. Okay, wait, a blood sacrifice is needed. So they do a sleeping spell on Holly, make the holes on her neck, but then she bleeds out way too fast and she dies, so it was an accident. But why on earth are they so against Jenna? Is it just like an easy scapegoat, but at the same time it's like, why go so hard on her? And then what? Like, now is she about to tell us she, like, sacrificed to her 2 other friends? Okay, so okay, so Elodie told us that they did the blood sacrifice to summon the demon, but they didn't think it worked because Alice never showed herself to them. She never even saw Alice until Sophie brings her into the woods and they finally meet. So she had no idea. So it's Alice who's been, like, sneaking into the school and attacking these girls for their blood because she needs their blood. And she's basically says, like, they weren't powerful enough or worth her time to show herself to them. Like, they summoned her, but she didn't answer to them. And they weren't trying to summon Alice, they were just trying to summon a demon. Alice, like, made it so that she was the one that they summoned so that she could get out. And then she just attacked Elodie. Elodie might be dead. I certainly hope not. And now Sophie has just used all her, like, demon power plus the power that Elodie passed on to her to attack the demon. She just sliced her freaking neck open. This is her grandmother, or her great-grandmother. But I mean, like, I only met you and I found out you're evil. So, like, I think you can be a demon and not be evil. That is really interesting, though, and I can't believe that I didn't catch it when, well, I, like, kind of caught it. So they're talking about how magic works, and Sophie describes that when she's using magic, it comes from beneath her. It comes from, like, the earth. And every other witch is like, no, babes. It feels like snow falling over you. It's, like, cool and crisp, and it comes from above. Which makes sense because witches, and I think every paranormal but vampires, are made from angels. And then vampires are created. But Sophie is a demon, so of course her power comes from below, but I just thought that since her great-grandmother was a human who became a witch, I figured she just, like, made a deal with the devil situation, and that's why Sophie's power comes from below, is because her line got it the darkest way possible. At the same time, though, the devil is an angel, so, like, you know, that's just where my head's at. But we have 13 minutes left, so let's do this.
Chapter 32. So, it turns out, I'm a demon. I told told Jenna the next after we were sitting in.
Okay, chapter 32 just started, and Sophie's like, so it turns out I'm a demon. I say the next day. The next day? So, like, is your grandma dead? We're just glossing over that? Okay. Cut off her head? Jesus Christ! Oh my god. Elodie is dead. God. Oh my god. This book went from like silly goofy to just like super serious. Decapitation, murder? My god. Okay, we just got some parentage, some lineage. Alice was summoning a demon when she was pregnant. So she was a teen mom. I'm glad that they kind of explained. She was pregnant when she summoned a demon. The demon, instead of like listening to her, turned her into a creature. And because she was pregnant, that means that her baby was a half demon, which I thought it was her great-grandmother, but it sounds like it's her grandmother. Because she said that made my father a half demon, making me a quarter demon. So she's only a quarter demon, so she's not that evil. But wild. Okay, I have finished Hex Hall. If you're wondering where Ebony went, my battery died, and she is this lump. Oh, you might have saw her tail. Shenyender moving. She is my weirdo cat who likes to be under the blankets when she gets cold. So, okay, so I finished Hex Hall. Wildness. Wildness is happening. So, she's talking to Jenna. She tells her, you know, apparently I'm a demon. And she's like, you know, it's not so bad being a creature. Which she's like, I don't want to be one. This freaks me out. And I'm like, I think it's cool. Like, I would think it's so cool. Like, it would kind of freak me out of, like, what does that mean? Because basically, they're saying that the reason that Alice was killed is because she kind of just, like, freaked out and, like, demoned out and killed her husband. So the society killed her and then buried her in that graveyard where apparently a bunch of demons are, and that's why that demon glass sword is there, because it's marking that this is a burial for demons, and if any of them ever rise again, the sword is right there to finish them off, you know? And so they're saying that, like, basically you could go years and years without ever needing human blood and stuff like that, or sacrifices, I guess. Because I'm guessing it must take a lot of blood, but you could just randomly kind of just freak out. And while her dad hasn't had an attack, he has a council member with him at all times in case something happens. And basically, because she's a demon, it mimics a dark witch very easily, so that's why they're easily mistaken for witches, but they're just extremely more powerful. So basically, she is going to be used her whole life for the council, just like her father is. And everyone on the council and anyone of power is aware what he is and what she is, but they don't want it to, like, fully get out because there'll be a bigger target on their back and it could freak out the other paranormals, basically. So they tell her, I think because she's made, they tell her that she could undergo, I think it was called the separation, the removal. She can go through the removal and have her powers taken away, which I'm like, lame, but it could kill her. So her mom shows up to come and take her home, like, you're not staying here anymore. She has decided to stay. She sees Elodie. Elodie's ghost is there, but she's like a regular ghost. She isn't intelligent. She's just like wandering the halls, and how sad is that? Like, my god, this book got so dark so quick while still trying to keep the silly goofiness, and I'm like, this ain't it. And then we find out that Archer has been spotted with, I think, the group he's with, which I can't remember what they're called, in London. And that's where Sophie would have to go. That's where, like, the council is and stuff like that. And that's where Sophie would have to go to undergo the removal. So she has just announced that she is staying at the school, but she's going to London first to undergo the removal, even though it might kill her. So I think what's going to happen is that she's probably going to find Asher. There's probably going to be some, you know, we're not that bad, I don't know, some sort of thing going, or he doesn't want to be a part of it, but because his family is, he was forced to. Who knows? Maybe she'll undergo the removal, or maybe she'll find out new stuff. I'm not sure. But I am pretty intrigued. Like, this was a very easy book to read, and it was kind of like a fun time. It was, like I said, it was like a very silly, goofy, immature, but in the best way possible time. But then you have these like super serious things that happen in the end. Like, what the heck? What the heck was that? You just decapitated your grandma, saw a classmate die in front of you, and you're like, so I guess I'm a demon? It's just so ridiculous. But I did enjoy it. So I'm really not sure what to rate it. On one hand, it was just like, okay. On the other hand, like, I do want to continue on and was intrigued by it. So it's like, I don't know. I think for sure a 3, but I think it should be a 3 point something when it comes to like Storygraph. I feel like I might give it a 3.5 on Storygraph, but give it a 3 on like Goodreads and everything like that. So yeah, we'll say final rating is a 3.5, and I think I might read the next book. When? God only knows. Maybe soon, because it was just like a fun little easy audiobook to listen to. So I would say that this was a pretty good start to kind of seeing what like my Read It or Reap It is going to be like. I don't think they're going to be like spoilery and things like this one was. I think it's kind of just gonna be like me taking like a week. Sorry, Pepe is so ridiculous in his window seat. I'll try to show you him in a minute. I think it's basically just going to be like me taking a week to read as many books off my unread shelf as possible and deciding whether to read them or get rid of them. And then also deciding like once I finish them, am I keeping them? As far as the fate of this book, I think I am going to go ahead and get rid of it. I don't see myself rereading book 1 or wanting it on my shelf to be like, oh, I read this book. So while I did enjoy it and I did read it, which is another check off my unread list, I think I will go ahead and donate it to my local little free library. That's what I'm going to do. But okay, let me show you Pepe, because he's so ridiculous. Okay, but that is Pepe. Or how messy my house is. But alright guys, that is everything that I have for you in this reading vlog. I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope that you are looking forward to the Read It or Reap It series in 2025. I know I'm pretty excited. I am really, really digging being back vlogging. I am enjoying the content I'm creating and the editing process. Like, I'm having a good time, and I think this time I should be here for a while again. Don't forget to keep reading, stay safe, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!